casting director.
Pam and I met on Naked and Afraid. I don't know.
So 17 years ago now, 18 years ago? I can't remember.
2007.
There was a show called On the Lot that Steven Spielberg produced.
I know it. I know that show.
You watched it?
I did.
I didn't say I watched it.
I watched it. I watched it.
Pam, thank you for watching. You were one of the few. The ratings were really bad, but it was an awesome experience for us because we were like, wannabe filmmakers making short films. I was working as an editor, Zach was working as a VFX artist. We had never met. We were both selected to be on the show.
The casting director put us in the same hotel room on the first night because she thought we'd get along, which was cool.
And then we just ended up, hitting it off, talking a lot about movies and geeking out about editing software, which did not make for very compelling television. We helped each other on all our scripts and stuff, and we got to make short films all summer, on someone else's time.
And it was Spielberg and Mark Burnett doing it, so the prize was working with Steven, which was pretty amazing. And so we met.
We did not win, no.
No.
But we won a friendship.
That's right.
So that was like your film school.
Yeah, pretty much. It was like the first time, the show was so expensive. It was 2007, it was $100 million first season. Because they had six full crews of filmmaking teams, and then 6 reality crews filming those 6 crews.
And a live show, because it was live every week.
So it had like American Idol style. It was crazy. But yeah, so getting to make all those movies was pretty cool.
Now, who coined Zatum as your joint nickname? That's what we really want to know.
That's a unique story too.
I think it might be this guy who's our lawyer.
Oh, we love lawyers.
We filmed it. So that was a pretty neat story. I don't know how much detail you should get
Basically,
into.
getting co-directing credit is very difficult, and to help.
Is there anyone from the
Can you
DGA?
actually explain? Yeah,
Are there anybody from the DGA?
How does that
So
work
the
exactly?
DGA doesn't really love co-directors because they want to preserve the idea of the director as a singular auteur and all that. So to get approved as official co-directors, you need to go in front of this like Dr. Strangelove room of some of the most famous directors in Hollywood and plead your case of why you should be considered co-directors. And it's very, very difficult. And because we had both worked separately as directors before starting to work together, that's a big no-no. They don't like that. And so we were putting together an independent film and applied and got rejected at first by them. And they said, we know you're going to really co-direct it, but only one of you can get credit. So Zach thought of this amazing loophole, which was to do the movie through the Directors Guild of Canada and use a pseudonym, Zatum Lipovsky. And so that's where it first came from. Jamie came up with the name. We ended up not having to do that, for various reasons.
But we had it on the slate, directed by Zatum Lipovsky, so the crew started calling us Zatum, and then that became quite useful, because when we're both on set, often the crew's looking for us, and they can just go, Zatum, and whichever one of us is near, we can just turn.
So it began in subterfuge.
And so now, like Final Destination, all our films, the crew just says Zatum, and it's sort of this, thing that gets us there.
Dad, you're a co-director, right? Didn't you and Harry got that? Did you have to use subterfuge also to get there?
No, I'm not bragging. There was so it was Walter Hill, Harris Farley, and this little man, I can't remember his name, Elliot something, and he said, guys, remember this was like the 90s.
This is co-director of Josie and the Pussycats back there.
She's so cute, I'd let her do anything.
Oh, I see this was back in the day.
The 90s. Good old 90s.
You should have tried that.
So the mystery sci-fi thriller Freaks, which is certified fresh and has a stellar audience score, was the first feature you two wrote, directed, and produced together. We love hearing how filmmakers get their first, initial projects off the ground. Can you tell everyone how that came to be?
That one was, we were trying to make it as directors, attached to tons of things that would never happen, couldn't get cast, couldn't get money, just in that cycle. And actually, it was Mark Duplass. He gave this speech at South by that's quite famous called "The Cavalry's Not Coming," and he gives this speech where he basically just gives a bullet list of what to do to start making movies without permission. The cavalry isn't coming.
He's so inspiring to directors and directors. I have to say.
The first step of his list was, if you just write down everything you can get for free, and then write a script that only has that stuff, when you write the end, you are greenlit. You don't need anything else.
So smart.
That's so simple.
I know,
Amazing.
and we were like, why don't we do that? So we,
But we love sci-fi, we love mystery box thrillers and stuff like that. So we're like, can we do that with, like, in that kind of tone of stories we love to tell?
so the first draft of Freaks is 2 guys and a kid in a house, because
I
Adam
was
had a
gonna
kid.
use my kid and my house.
And we were gonna star in it, and we just wrote, and I have visual effects background, so we only wrote visual effects into it that I knew I could do on my laptop, and basically just made this movie that we could technically make for 0. And then through the process of writing that and iterating on it, our friends got to know what we were working on, and slowly friends started chipping in a little bit of money. We had 50 grand, and then we had 100 grand, and then we were like, oh.
Okay, we don't have to act in it, thank
Yeah,
God.
and then slowly we kind of, just kept working on it, and it eventually did become like $1 million indie. We raised about $1 million from 9 individuals, like just putting money in the bank account.
Did they see it get a return?
And we
Yeah.
sold it for 2 at Toronto Film
Right
Festival.
on.
Yeah.
Great.
And that kind of started our, our thing. And luckily Bruce Dern played my role, so 2-time Oscar nominee played my role, so that worked out a lot better.
And you just completed Freaks Underground,
Yeah.
the sequel. Can you tell us
Yeah.
anything about that?
Yeah, so Freaks, it really hit well when it came out on Netflix. It went onto the top 10 list. It was right at the beginning of COVID, and the movie's about a dad and a daughter stuck inside a house. So I think people really related to it, like in March 2020, and it went like all the way to the top of the top 10 list, and that got interest in sort of what we could do next with it. We actually ended up working with Frank Marshall and sold it as a TV series.
Oh, wow.
But then they, the people who bought it never ended up making it, but we took that pilot script, we got it back, and turned it into a sequel feature. And got half of the funding from the Canadian government, and the other half was a negative pickup from Paramount. And so the craziest thing about it is that we got the news of that negative pickup deal on the same day the Final Destination was greenlit.
Oh, cool.
And
2 hours apart. We're
Great
like,
day.
we're like, oh, we're gonna make
Cool.
Freaks, that's so cool. And then ring, Craig Perry was like,
We got-
Warner Brothers is making Final Destination, you're going to prep right away.
so we're like,
This is easy, this
it was
business.
very stressful because we thought we can only do one. How we can't do both? Like we've been working hard on trying to get both, and we can't do both. But we were. I mean, and New Line was very.
Well, we thank you
supportive.
for putting us in
Yes.
first position.
Yeah, at first New Line was like, "Go shoot your movie. It'll be fine. We'll, it'll take us a while." And then we're like, "Oh no, we can't do that." But we got to postpone the Freak sequel, and we started shooting it right after we finished post on FD.
The day after.
And then we wrapped it at 2 a.m. and then we started press at 8 a.m. for FD the next
Wow.
morning. So we've been going straight pretty much for the last
Need
3
a
years.
break.
Freaks is one of the best twisty movies. Like it's got such great twists in it. Anyone who hasn't seen it, I highly recommend it. Really excites for the sequel.
Thanks, Mike.
So we'd love to hear about the legendary Zoom pitch you created to direct Final Destination. I think everyone.
Even though we saw it, but
We
we
saw
like,
it.
we're going to act like we didn't see it.
Right,
Yeah.
but whose idea was it, and how did it come to be?
I think it was Zach's idea at first.
Adam was a bit nervous.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I know we have a good pitch because we've been pitching for a while, going up the chain, meeting with bigger and bigger executives to try to get this job. And it was down to us and 1 or 2 other people. And we were on a road trip actually, scouting for another movie. And Zach's like, I have $1 million idea. we're gonna kill ourselves on this Zoom.
It was based on, basically it was a Zoom on pitch, or it was a pitch on Zoom. And the idea was if somehow we could still be pitching live, but then death comes for us at the end of the pitch. And we can transition seamlessly from a live pitch to pre-recorded footage that we shoot 24 hours earlier, so the sun and everything's exactly in the same position, where we die horribly, and then come back to life and continue asking if there's any questions about the pitch.
Because you had a
Pretty
friend,
amazing.
You had a friend who was pranking people
Yeah,
using
we
the
use
Zoom virtual
like,
background.
with virtual backgrounds, you know how you can put the Aurora Borealis
Yeah.
behind you. We're like, but you can't put any video file behind you. So the idea was film a video from we put the laptop, we taped it off on the table exactly in the same place the day before, filmed a video of empty seats with eventually the fireplace lighting on fire and the ceiling fan crashing down, and we did a cowboy switch where we were live and everyone started pointing because the fireplace was catching on fire. Our live cells left frame as our recorded cells entered frame, and then all the visual effects happened. And then Adam Headless Corpse fell out of frame, and I jumped out of frame, and then I came back into frame, and I actually put I don't know if Dave knows this, but I put my hand over the camera for 1 second while Adam, who's hiding under the table, used a mouse to turn off virtual backgrounds, so that by the time my hand came off the camera, it was all back to live with no jitter. And then we also had a whole second computer playing the sound effects, because virtual backgrounds have no sound. So we
So
have
old style,
and
just play at the same time, two computers.
one computer's playing the sound while the other computer's microphone. So we had to like press both at exactly the same time, otherwise they'd be out of sync.
Man, I'm exhausted just hearing that. You guys know, the other candidates had no chance, right?